So I found this sad little orchid at Home Depot. And in today's video, I'll show you how we're going to save it. Hey everyone, Matt here. So, like you saw in the intro, we have this healthy orchid. It's just that it's at the end of its flowering cycle. You can see all the flowers that fell off. This one is done. So what I'm going to show you in today's video is just how poorly these are packaged and why they're almost kind of set up to fail if you don't repot them and get them in some better substrate. Because really at the nursery, they're just pumping these things out and they don't really care about the longevity of them, or if they rebloom, or if you throw them away after they rebloom. But for me, I don't like to throw them away. I like to let them regrow and bloom again and have them in my plant collection. So let's get into exactly what's going on inside this pot. So we're gonna pull it out of the pot and you're gonna see that it's packed in this moss, which isn't the worst thing. Sometimes you'll see it's in cocoa coir. Sometimes it's in God knows what. But this particular one is in just all moss, which is okay. It just will hold on to a lot of moisture. And what will end up happening is these roots, although most of them look very good, surprisingly, is they will get rotten and your orchid will die. So what we're going to do today is just loosen this root ball up and repot it in this clear plastic pot, which has holes in it, which allows it to breathe. And I also have some orchid bark and a new decorative pot that it's going to go into. So let's start peeling this away and checking all our roots for any kind of damage, root rot, anything that's going on. And honestly, these look really nice. They're all nice and plump and green. So we will slowly take all this out. I'll kind of speed that up in the video because this is gonna take a while. But yeah, this stuff will just stay wet forever, and especially in this jar, it doesn't breathe. You see, there's no hole in the bottom, so the water will just collect in there as you continue to water, and it's a recipe for disaster. So we're going to do it right. Now that we got most of this off, we're gonna go around and just feeling any of these roots, anything that looks kind of isn't firm, black, feels squishy, we're gonna just eliminate that. So like this root right here, although it's got some good green root down here still, it's no good. We're gonna get rid of that. If you check in here in the crown, if you can see that, we're not showing any signs of rot, which is really nice. Roots like this, just go ahead and cut them off. Get rid of that little guy. You don't want to get rid of too many, but the more of these nasty roots that you remove, the better chances you are that you're not going to be repotting rotting roots, which kind of spreads. And then you get a sick plant. Get rid of this guy too. Okay. So now if you've watched my other videos, we talk about what to do with the flower spike after it's all done. So flower spike is all done. We're just gonna come here to the base and cut that off. Pick that up later. And I'm gonna put this orchid in this pot right here. And I'm going to reuse some of this moss because I do like it for its moisture retention. Because sometimes if you just plant in the bark, I feel like you are watering a little bit extra more than you need to because it dries out so quickly, and then your roots aren't gathering water, and your plant is not being optimal. Then your plant is not in optimum conditions. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is take some of our bark, just build a little bottom layer of it. I'm making a mess here. That's okay. We're gonna build a little base layer of that. Add a little bit of this moss in. And I'm gonna put our orchid on top of that base, and then just fill it in with a little equal parts of moss and the bark. Not equal amounts, but a little bit of both. And it's okay if there's, it's not like potting soil where you need to have all the air gaps taken up by the soil. Like if you're using potting soil in your houseplants, orchids, they actually enjoy a little air or space between their roots. In the wild, they grow on the side of trees, and these roots just grab onto the trunk, and it just hangs out there and collects water that way. And there are amounts that you can do that, but for today's purposes, we are just repotting here in this pot. Moss in here. Tuck that moss into those spaces. I don't know why they put a dead little twig in that display. Way. And here you can see we have a fully repotted orchid with plenty of room, and this is going to allow this plant to grow up plenty. Like this, you won't have to repot this for a long time. So now I'll show you what we do as far as watering. Especially with this type of mixture with the moss in it, I just like to run water around and through it, and that's enough. If it's just bark, like if you have a a pot like this with just all bark, then I like to soak it. Like you would put it in here, fill this up with water. Like if you had a pot with just bark, you would just put it in here and just soak it and let it soak for like 5-10 minutes. Pull it out, let it drain. Obviously, toss your water. But in this case, what we're gonna do is, for the ease of the video, this pot does not have a drainage hole in it, so it's gonna be a perfect little sink. That way you don't have to stare at my sink as we're watering this. But obviously you can do it at your sink at home. So the nice thing with this pot with the holes is all the water is going to drain out and you're not going to overwater. You're just wetting this up straight. And you can see it's all draining out. And that moisture is going to stick to the wood bark and the moss. And the moss definitely holds the moisture a little bit longer. So I'll be right back. Okay, I dumped the water out. This is going to be its new pot. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to place this a spot in my house where it gets bright light but indirect light. If you put your orchids in direct sunlight, you will get sunburned. It happened many times where the sun is just beating down on the leaves and they will get scorched. And once they're scorched, there's no coming back for them. You will have to wait till that set of leaves grows out, or if it's real bad, the leaf will die itself, and then it will turn yellow, and then you can discard it. But yeah, so don't put them in direct sunlight. Put them somewhere sunny, but not directly, because they will burn. They're not used to that, and in the wild, they're not in that kind of condition. How to take apart the moss and coco coir that yours may be in if you bought it from a big box store, and how to repot it. And we've gone over in a previous video, but we'll go over quickly. When you cut your spent flower spike, it tells the plant, okay, no more flowering, it's time to grow. And what will happen is, very quickly, you'll start to see a new leaf form right in here. And that gives your plant a little growth phase. Your plant will go into growth phase. And it will rebloom again when it's ready. But you give it that time to go through its growth phase before it will rebloom. So what I like to do normally is let it grow 2 more leaves, and then there's tricks into ways of forcing it to bloom again. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Links below will be for the orchid bark, and please check out my other videos. I have a couple on orchids. And thanks. We'll see you in the next one.